Wikipedia says AI is causing a dangerous decline in human visitors. Wikipedia is seeing a drop in the number of people who are going to Wikipedia, and doesn't take too many logical leaps to realize that it's probably because people are looking up information on artificial intelligence. Elon Musk is also launching, is it Grokpedia? He's trying to release a AI generated version of Wikipedia which is free from bias, but we know what that means when it comes to Elon Musk. Good morning, everybody. This is AI with Kyle. My name is, unsurprisingly, Kyle, and I'm going to be walking you through the latest AI news and updates of the day. I was at the wonderful AI for the Rest of Us conference in the Barbican in London, where I gave a workshop about educating in artificial intelligence. So going out and helping communities and companies and individuals to learn how to use AI. I had a group of about 60 people that I was talking to yesterday, and thank you for anyone who came along to that workshop. It was a fantastic workshop and I really enjoyed being able to teach there. So apologies for anyone who missed the live stream. That was the reason, but we are back. So we have a number of news items. The one I want to focus on is something called skills. So skills have been added into Anthropic. I want to go through what they are. I have just myself moments ago got access. I'm going to be reading most of the official blurb that was come out from Anthropic, but I need to play around with these myself before I can give a full rundown of what I think of them. But I'm going to run through what exactly they are and what they're going to be used for moving forward and whether they're going to be useful. But I do need to test them out myself. If you are on TikTok, come over to YouTube and you'll be able to see my screen. Otherwise, feel free to hang out on TikTok. No problem at all. I'll also be taking questions in between the various different news segments. But let's jump in and have a look at skills. So these were released yesterday. I was at a conference all day, so I haven't had time to play around with them yet. I have just got access to them. The way you find them, you are going to go into your Claude account. You're going to go to settings. Then you're going to go to capabilities and then go all the way down to the bottom of capabilities, and you should find the skills tab in preview. Now, initially, they did not show up for me. I switched my VPN to America, reloaded the page, and they appeared. I've now turned off my VPN and I still have the skills preview. If they are only released in America, maybe I missed them before, but if you do not see them, try doing that with a VPN. There might be a way to activate it on your account. If that's not the case, I'm sure they'll be rolling out here soon, or maybe they already are and I just didn't see them. They're in settings, capabilities, skills, and they're repeatable, customizable instructions that Claude can follow in any chat. And they've actually given us a number of skills. Off the top, there's algorithmic art, brand guidelines, canvas designs, internal comms, MCP builder, skill creator, Slack GIF creator, and theme factory. So we'll play around with them in a moment. But first, let's talk about what skills are, or what Anthropic say they are. Claude can now use skills to improve how it performs specific tasks. Skills are folders that include instructions, scripts, and resources that Claude can load when needed. This is really cool. So when you are vibe coding or you are coding with artificial intelligence, you will often have a folder that kind of sits inside of your project that is full of these kind of instructions in markdown files. And during the process of building your project, you'll often be saying, hey, make sure you go and check the instructions, make sure you go and check the guidelines, make sure you check the rules that we've written about what we are doing. It looks like they're bringing that kind of methodology into the actual chatbot, into Claude itself. So Claude will only access a skill when it's relevant to the task at hand. Good. When used, skills make Claude better at specialized tasks like working with Excel or following your organization's brand guidelines. Cool. So this is good that it only uses the skill that's relevant to the task at hand, because the way that we could do this before, we could use system instructions, or we could use like custom instructions that apply to a project, for example. However, that would sometimes mean you are filling your system prompt or your custom instruction prompt with a lot of cruft that is not necessarily necessary all of the time. So you might have forced your brand guidelines into there, as well as your visual guidelines, as well as some rules and regulations that you need to follow. That will all be in one big file. This looks like what it's doing is compartmentalizing these rules into skills and allowing them to be accessed only when they are needed, which is a lot cleaner and a lot less overhead when it comes to working with artificial intelligence. So you've already seen skills at work in Claude apps, where Claude uses them to create files like spreadsheets or presentations. So that was using skills. That released about a month ago, the ability to give Claude access, the ability to allow Claude to create files in Google Workspace, for example. Now you can build your own skills and use them across Claude apps, Claude Code, and our API. the new MCP, because MCPs are quite heavy. If you've not used them before, they often have a lot of cruft in them. So it means you, if not used wisely, you can waste a lot of tokens. So this might be, in certain circumstances, again, I need to test this, it might be an alternative to MCPs. So how skills work. While working on task, Claude scans available skills to find relevant matches. When one matches, it loads only the minimal information and files needed, keeping Claude fast when accessing specialized expertise. This is about keeping it lightweight, because a lot of people will say, oh, I've trained my AI, I've got custom prompts, system prompts, and it does exactly what I want. But generally the way they do that is just by giving it a huge amount of information. That is detrimental when you're working with AI, because you're going to be wasting tokens. If you are using the API, and you're paying per token, then it's a really bad idea, because you're going to end up paying a lot more. So skills are composable. So skills stack together. Claude automatically identifies which skills are needed and coordinates their use. Very cool. Portable. Skills use the same format everywhere. Build once, use across Claude apps, Claude Code and API. This is really cool. Efficient, only loads when it's needed. Powerful. Skills can include executable code for tasks where traditional programming is more reliable than token generation. If you don't want to create something using the large language model, you can give it a little piece of code. Let's say it's a calculator or a little script that you use to work out stock prices, for example. You wouldn't necessarily want an LLM, a large language model, to do that, because you need it to be more deterministic. So you could package up a little script inside one of these skills, and when relevant, your AI is going to go and use that piece of code. My mind is already buzzing with opportunities and ways to use this. This is very cool. So think of skills as custom onboarding material that lets you package expertise, making Claude a specialist on what matters most to you. So this is really cool. So skills are only available right now for Pro, Max, Team and Enterprise users, so not for free users. We provide skills for common tasks like document creation. These are the ones we just looked at. And these we can customize them. So let's go and have a look. So the brand guidelines one, for example, I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to try it in chat. Hey Claude, I just added the brand guideline skills. Can you make something amazing with it? I'm just going to go ahead and see what happens when I press this button, because I haven't given it my brand guidelines. It's applying Anthropic's brand guidelines. So I would have to edit and create my own brand guidelines skill, upload it into my Claude, and then I'd be able to use it from there. So now I've created an amazing interactive brand showcase using Anthropic's brand guidelines. There'll be an HTML artifact, etc., etc. So it's mocking up a brand guideline showcase for me. So I would need to create a brand guideline skill for my company, for AI with Kyle. So generally, when I'd be starting a project or starting a chat, I'd have to add that in from a file that I have on my computer. I'd pull all that over. Now I'd have a skill which is portable. So whenever I start a new project or I start a new chat, I can say, hey, I need you to go and grab the brand guidelines, and I'll be able to port it into whatever I'm working on. And I'll be able to do that on the API when I'm building software. I'll be able to use it in Claude Code, and I can use it in chat directly. So this is really cool. Let's have a look at what it just created. Doesn't really look like Anthropic. So that's a bit of a rubbish demonstration. So it's created a little mock-up website for me with some nice little animations, and the palette stuff here is good. But the header does not look like Anthropic at all. It absolutely whiffed that. So it's not that impressive. But that's probably more to do with what was written in the brand guidelines. The idea is important here. The idea that we can have skills that are compartmentalized and deployable anywhere. So this is really cool. So there's a couple of other articles. There's one about how to create custom skills. So you're going to create a skills MD file. This goes through how to make a skill, but what you could do is you can copy this into a chat and say, hey, I want to make a skill based on these guidelines, and then describe what skill you want to make. You might even be able to just write to Claude and say, hey, I want to make a skill, and it would get it into the right format for you. So this is all on the engineering blog, I think, or the support blog, and it goes through the technical details. But again, with AI, we can just say, hey, can you help me build a skill? And it will do that for you. Also, there is a cookbook. Somebody has written I'll put this in the newsletter. I'll give you all of these links so you can go and get them. Somebody's written a Claude cookbook for skills, how to build skills, financial applications, custom skill developments, etc. If you want to get a bit more into the technical details, I will put that in the newsletter. So this is really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and build some skills to help me with my newsletter writing. I'm going to build individual skills for the different types of newsletters I write. So I have a daily newsletter, for example. So I'd be able to combine the transcript of this live that I'm now doing with my tone of voice skill and with my with my daily newsletter skill, combine that to create the first draft of the daily newsletter. And if any of you were at AI for the Rest of Us, do say, 'cause it was lovely to meet some of you. I had a few people who knew me from TikTok, which is always it's always weird when somebody's watched you potentially for hours and they're like, hey, I know you really well. And you're like, hi, I don't know who you are. But it was lovely to meet you. Anyone who did come and say hi. I met another TikToker as well, Phil AI, who does like video. He talks about AI video a lot, which is something I don't really. But it's lovely to meet him in person. And again, it's very weird meeting internet people in real life and realizing, hey, they're real. So I'm going to jump over to a couple of bits of news. I want to talk about this article. A barrister, for anyone in the US, it's basically a lawyer. A barrister found to have used AI to prepare for a hearing after citing fictitious cases. So Deloitte last week published a report. They charged 440,000 Australian dollars to the Australian government for this report. And it was found that it had erroneous citations. It had facts that didn't exist. It had cited, I think it was a researcher at the University of Sydney or somewhere like that, who the government then contacted, like, hey, we'd love to talk to you about this stuff that you've written. And they did not exist. So Deloitte had published a report that was full of hallucinations. And we're going to see this across all industries. So this is a legal case. So a judge has ruled that Chowdhury Rahman used ChatGPT-like software, weird way to put it, and then tried to hide it. Whoops, wasting immigration tribunal's time. An immigration barrister was found by a judge to be using AI to do his work for a tribunal hearing after citing cases that were entirely fictitious or wholly irrelevant. Chowdhury Rahman was discovered using ChatGPT-like software to prepare his legal research, a tribunal heard. Rahman was found not only to have used AI to prepare his work, but failed thereafter to undertake any proper checks on the accuracy. You've got to check. AI will make stuff up. And if you say, hey, I need you to find cases that support this argument, and it cannot find them, it will go ahead and make them up. There are ways you can protect against this. You can give it additional prompting, but you still need to check the results, especially in high risk cases like this. If it makes something up for a birthday card that you're sending to a friend or some email between colleagues and someone gets made up, that's not the end of the world. If it makes something up and you publish a report to the Australian government and charge them $400,000, or you take it to court, that's a problem. So we need to be mindful of the risks as well. The upper tribunal judge Mark Blundell said Rahman had even tried to hide the fact he had used AI, so he lied, and wasted the tribunal's time. Blundell said he was considering reporting Rahman to the Bar Standards Board. The matter came to light in the case of two Honduran sisters who claimed asylum on the basis they had been targeted by a criminal gang in their home country. Rahman represented the sisters, 29 and 35, and it was escalated to an upper tribunal. He said that 12 authorities were cited in the paperwork by Rahman, but when he came to read the grounds, he noticed that some of those authorities did not exist and that others did not support the propositions of law by which they were cited in the grounds. There were 12 authorities cited and set out what was said by Mr. Rahman about these actual fictitious cases. Anyway, yeah, basically this guy got caught. So this is one person getting caught and trying to hide it, and potentially he's going to lose his job, and it's going to be extremely bad for his firm as well. My question here is how many other barristers are using it and getting away with it so far. Hopefully this will be a warning to them to, one, be careful in your usage, and two, you need to check what is coming out of ChatGPT, especially when the stakes are this high, because this means that these two women, these Honduran sisters who he was representing, their case is going to get pushed back. It's going to get pushed. They'll have to be reassigned another barrister. That has a massive impact on their life moving forward because somebody was lazy and did not check AI. And to be clear, this is not just an AI problem. This is a human problem. It's not artificial intelligence. It's a human intelligence problem. We cannot just use AI and accept it in the same way that you can't just accept anything from off the internet. There was a slide which I saw at the conference yesterday by Nathan, I've forgotten his name, but he runs Dora for Google, Dora study. But he had a slide which was really fantastic. It was about software engineers and their trust levels of artificial intelligence. And there were 5% of them who trusted it for nothing, and they'd use it for nothing, and they thought it was always wrong. And then there was 5% who thought that AI was always right and it was infallible. And he was saying that these 5%, these are the people we need to talk to. The reality is somewhere in the middle. Outputs from AI are somewhat accurate, and that's why we need to combine it with our expertise in order to use it effectively. So the people who are ignoring it totally, 5%, and the people who are agreeing with it explicitly in everything, they're the problems. And they're the people we need to have serious discussions with. I'm going to pull up, it's not news, but something that I thought was worth discussing. So over on Reddit, so recommendations for a young 9-year-old vibe coder. I'm looking to get into vibe coding with my son, who is 9 years old. He'd like to make a game. I have very basic understanding of coding, HTML, etc. He's pretty advanced with stuff like Minecraft. So maybe with Minecraft scripting, which I think is Python. I know if you do scripting and you are doing mods, etc., then there is some coding involved. Any recommendations for good tools to get started? Is it worth trying something like Replit, or are there better options for kids? Appreciate the guidance. And this is on the vibe coding subreddit, so I'm interested to see how people reacted. People that actually learn to code will pay out in the long run. Why not teach your kid to code? I don't get it. Do you want to teach your kid a useful skill? Then make sure they learn to code. I think this is missing the point of vibe coding. Vibe coding is an amazing gateway drug. It's a way to get you moving towards becoming a software developer or somebody who builds with code, because it allows you to very quickly spin up something valuable and something useful that you actually want to play around with. From there, 100%, you can go and learn to code. In fact, you probably will as you start to vibe code, because you're going to start getting into things, parts of software development like GitHub. You're going to be learning about version control. You'll be learning about backend, Supabase, for example, edge functions. Like, increasingly your knowledge of how a piece of software is put together will start to expand. And as that happens, there will be points when you're like, oh, I should probably look into this kind of TypeScript or this Python thing or this SQL. What are these? I need to learn a bit more in order to get the best results out of these tools. But you get there by backing into it. Whereas the previous way of learning coding and software development was you would sit down with a textbook, or you'd go to a course and you would learn from the ground up, from the foundational levels. So God, sometimes you'd be learning assembly and stuff like that. You'll go from the bottom up, and then eventually you'll start to deploy that into projects and actually to build stuff. With vibe coding, you're coming in from the other direction. You're building something immediately and you're thinking, damn, this is cool. And you get that dopamine hit. You get that hook, which is, oh, I've just built something. I can use this something. Other people can use this. This is really cool. And then because that is enjoyable and it becomes a hobby, you can then back into the actual learning stuff. And I think quite dangerous, because this is a 9-year-old kid. He wants to play around and he wants to make games. He wants to make games. Let him vibe code, and then he can work out the other stuff later. He'll learn about scripting. He'll naturally want to get to those when he needs more power and more control in the games that he is making. When I gave my talk yesterday, my workshop, there was one point where normally I'd give them an exercise and it'd be up on the board and they'd get pen and paper out, go through for about 5-10 minutes this exercise. And it's quite a lot of steps. It's a relatively complex exercise. So I was like, why don't I just build them a tool? So the day before the conference, I actually just threw together a tool. I gave them a QR code on the slides behind me, and I was like, this is the exercise, this is what we're going to learn. Go to this website. And so all 50, 70 of them went to the website and they filled it all out, and it helped them work them through the exercise. And that was just vibe coded. I vibe coded it in 10 minutes or so, and it allowed me to create something very valuable. And there was a guy yesterday who was also at the conference who had built something using Replit that was being used as the networking tool. I'm going to see if I can find him so I can give him a shout out properly. He might even be watching. If you're watching, then please tell me the name of your... God, what was it called? I should be asking ChatGPT, really. I've forgotten the name of it. I'm going to give him a shout out on Monday. I will reach out to him on LinkedIn. But he vibe coded a conference networking tool that allowed you to scan the QR code. I think this is how it worked. Scan the QR code on people's conference badges, and then you could connect with them inside this app and chat with them inside this app. And he coded that and put it together. And I was chatting to him and I thought he was from a large startup. No, it was something he had put together. He was wearing a hoodie, had a banner at the conference and everything. And he had built something valuable using vibe code. It's such an opportunity right now. And I think gatekeeping and telling people that, no, you need to spend the next few years coding is terrible advice right now. Absolutely terrible. So to this poor 9-year-old, just get on and have fun. You can learn the coding later. You can do the boring stuff later. So Wikipedia says AI is causing a dangerous decline in human visitors. So Wikipedia is seeing a drop in the number of people who are going to Wikipedia, and it doesn't take too many logical leaps to realize it's probably because people are looking up information on artificial intelligence. So the Wikimedia Foundation is the non-profit organization that hosts Wikipedia, so Jimmy Wales, said that it's seeing a significant decline in human traffic. That's very telling because the AI companies are scraping it to the online encyclopedia because more people are getting information that's on Wikipedia via generative AI chatbots that were trained on its articles. So this is a really interesting thing. If we go to ChatGPT and we go to Wikipedia, I saw Andrej Karpathy do this. Only when you ask ChatGPT about a subject, it will generate de novo, it will create information from scratch. However, if you start with the beginning of, let's see if this works, it might not work. If you start with the beginning of a Wikipedia article, it will generally be able to give you the rest of the Wikipedia article. So I'm going to do, this is a band called Neutral Milk Hotel. So this is a very random example. I'm just going to put in the beginning of the article. There we go. Let's see if that worked perfectly. Oh, it didn't. On Avery Island. Oh no, yes it did. Okay, so what I did is I've put in the first paragraph and one line from the second paragraph. Just entered that into ChatGPT. It has then continued. So it says on ChatGPT, in 1996, Mangum recorded on Avery Island the band's debut album at Pet Sound Studio in Denver. And on Wikipedia it says, in 1996, he worked with a childhood friend to record the album on Avery Island. It doesn't mention Denver, but it follows a very similar pattern to what's on Wikipedia, which suggests it's basically been taken from Wikipedia, which makes sense because Wikipedia is cited so much all over the world. So this isn't just similar, it's almost identical. If you do it back in the playground, I think it just comes out with exactly the same because it is looking for the next likely token, and the next likely token is what's written on Wikipedia, and it's been trained on that so much that Wikipedia is basically memorized inside of ChatGPT. So the Wikimedia Foundation says that this poses a risk to the long-term sustainability of Wikipedia. They have been struggling for survival for the last couple of decades already. We welcome new ways for people to gain knowledge. However, AI chatbots, search engines, and social platforms that use Wikipedia content must encourage more visitors to Wikipedia so that the free knowledge that so many people and platforms depend on can continue to flow. The problem is here, let's say somebody's got the information from ChatGPT, even if OpenAI agree with this and they're like, yeah, we should send people to Wikipedia. Why would a user go to Wikipedia if they've got the information and they believe that it's true? It's just an additional step. Maybe they'll go there to validate it. But even if you go to Wikipedia, then you'd have to check the source and go and validate it again. Most people are not going to go to that extent of effort. Most people will just see what's on ChatGPT and be like, that's fine. Obviously, if you're doing an academic paper or if you are taking it to court, like this barrister that we just talked about, you should have some additional levels of checking. But for most of us, we're not going to bother. So, yeah, Wikipedia is saying, can you please send some traffic to us? You see the problem here. It's already all in ChatGPT. So Wikipedia has functionally become less useful. Ironically, while generative AI and search engines are causing a decline in direct traffic to Wikipedia, its data is more valuable to them than ever. Yep. Wikipedia articles are some of the most common training data for AI models, 100%, because it's seen at high quality. So that is what the AI models want, or the people building them. And Google and other platforms have for years mined Wikipedia articles to support its snippets and knowledge panels, yes, which siphon traffic away from Wikipedia itself. So that is when like questions and snippets appear directly on Google, and it gives you the answer to the question without you having to actually go to a website. AI overviews are just a extension of that. It allows you to see the information taken from a web page without you clicking on the web page. Almost all large models train on Wikipedia datasets. I would say all of them, and search engines and social media platforms prioritize its information to respond to questions from their users, Miller said. That means that people are reading the knowledge created by Wikimedia volunteers all over the internet, even if they don't visit wikipedia.org. This human-created knowledge has become even more important to the spread of reliable information online. Miller said that in May 2025, Wikipedia noticed unusually high amounts of apparently human traffic originating mostly from Brazil. It's definitely scraping bots. So somebody's running a bot operation. I thought you could actually download Wikipedia. Am I wrong about this? Yeah, you can download Wikipedia. So database, here we go, complete copy of all Wikimedia. Oh, it's pretty big. Yeah, so you can just download Wikipedia, so I don't know why they're scraping. I'm sure they have a reason. After making this revision, we're seeing declines in human page views on Wikipedia over the past few months, amounting to a decrease of roughly 8% as compared to the same month of 2024. So 8% decrease in a year. That's not as much as I'd expect. We believe that these declines reflect the impact of generative AI and social media on how people seek information. I don't know why they keep throwing in social media here. This is AI, especially with search engines providing answers directly to searchers, often based on Wikipedia content. That's Google AI overviews. Yeah, and I will again post this full article so you can have a look at it. This comes from 404 Media, which is broadly very anti-AI, just for the context, but it's a very good website with more kind of investigative reporting, so it's well worth looking at for less celebratory views of artificial intelligence, which I think is important because we do need to balance this out. Yeah, Wikipedia has been in trouble for decades. This may unfortunately be the nail in their coffin, but it is something that we need to make our AIs better. I don't know what the solution to that is unless the AI companies start to subsidize Wikipedia, which, to be fair, they have more than enough money to do so. That would be a very interesting compromise here, basically paying Wikipedia to continue their efforts to create a clean database of the information on Earth. Elon Musk is also, I think he's launching, is it Grokipedia? He's trying to release a AI-generated version of Wikipedia, which is free from bias, but we know what that means when it comes to Elon Musk. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reporting on that when they build something. I'm sure it's going to be an absolute mess. Absolute mess. What will ChatGPT train itself on should they find a way to collaborate? I think collaborating would be a really interesting twist, because the Wikimedia Foundation, as every time you go to Wikipedia, there's Jimmy Wales, hey, can you spare some money? They've been doing that for years, so they're always on the brink of extinction, basically. And it is volunteer run for the most part as well. I think that'd be pretty amazing if OpenAI, Anthropic, Google get together and they're like, okay, let's throw a few of these millions, because we have billions that we're putting into AI, let's throw some of that cash over to Wikimedia to make sure they can sustain. Whether or not Wikimedia would take it out of principle would be interesting, and I could see arguments on both sides, but that could be a solution here, as long as there is no interference in the content. I'd love to see that happen. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to finish up. As always, these links are going to be in the newsletter, so make sure you subscribe. There's a link in the bio. It's totally free. So I'm going to be having a lot of links and a resource guide for Claude skills in particular. So this should be a very useful issue. And all of these videos will be edited and uploaded onto YouTube. We just crossed 7,500 subscribers. Make sure you're subscribed over on YouTube if you're not already, and to the newsletter in order to get all of the links and be able to dive into the resources that we've talked about today.